Well, John Wick Chapter 4 is here, but is it worth a 3-hour runtime? I guess let's talk about that. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of John Wick Chapter 4, the newest film that brings back, of course, director Chad Stahelski. Okay, so here we are with another John Wick film. Chapter 4 is officially here. It once again brings back Keanu Reeves as John Wick, the assassin, Baba Yaga, whatever you want to call him. He's once again on a vengeance quest to take down the table and all, the things that he is kind of leading up to as he's gone on his quest through the last 3 chapters. And of course, there is a new bad guy in this movie. We of course have Bill Skarsgård, who plays the Marquis. We bring in Donnie Yen, who has a history with John Wick. And of course, we have favorites, of course, like Lance Redick and Lawrence Fishburne, and of course, Ian McShane. But we're also introduced to like Shamier Anderson and Hiroyuki Sanada and all these people in this world that is John Wick. And of course, John Wick is being hunted by the Marquis, and he has to stop. It's a John Wick movie. There's going to be ultra violence. It's going to be crazy over the top. It's a Chad Stahelski film. It's what you expect. It's a John Wick film. If you know the kind of plot of all the John Wick films, it's the same plot, basically. But with that said, John Wick Chapter 4 is highly anticipated. It is, once again, a 3-hour movie, believe it or not. And I think at this point, it's safe to say that the franchise is a hugely successful action franchise. It's one of the best, to be fairly honest. The stuff that Keanu Reeves is capable of doing at close to 60 years old is pretty amazing. On top of that, you have Chad Stahelski, who, of course, has worked in this franchise since the very beginning. Had David Leitch, of course, that helped him in the first film. But this is Chad Stahelski's franchise. And of course, he's had characters like I said, Ian McShane, and of course, Lance Redick and Lawrence Fishburne come in the mix. And like I said, we were introduced to new characters like Donnie Yen, who is a martial arts master in his own right. He's very famous in his own right when it comes to martial arts films. But the thing about this film that is interesting is the fact that it's 3 hours long. I mean, from the beginning of the franchise, it was like 1 hour and 45 minutes, and it went to like 2 hours, then it went to 2:15 or whatever, and now we're getting like a Lord of the Rings style John Wick film. And then the question remains, and the one that you're all wondering, can it sustain that 3 hours, and is it worth watching? Well, here's where I'll put the film. I loved it personally, but I've loved all the John Wick films. I think it's an assault on the senses. I think it does action like no other film can do. I think Keanu Reeves at his age is doing some phenomenal work when it comes to the things he's being put on screen to do. And it's just overall a visually arresting film with beautiful colors, with beautiful ideas, crazy over the top action, not really the greatest story plot that has ever been invented, because that's not what you go to a John Wick film for. But the real problem that this film is going to have is the length of time that it's on screen. And I personally did not have a problem with that. There are action set pieces in here that just they kind of topple each other over when it comes to setting the bar higher and higher. There's a really cool set piece that involves Scott Adkins, who's in this movie, who's a martial artist himself. There's also a set piece that really is you could almost call it a one take, which is really cool. In this movie, though it is, having a new bad guy in it, it doesn't really change the status quo, and that's for better or worse, depending on how you feel about these movies. So if you don't like John Wick, you're not going to like this movie. If you love John Wick, you may not like the runtime, but you'll like what some of the set pieces in here. And I love what this franchise does. I love that it, is willing to be silly and over the top and gory and make no sense, but it's just a fun action franchise for what it's worth. I think Keanu Reeves he's turned himself into one of these stars that just was willing to go for it. It really shows in this movie. And Bill Skarsgård is good as a villain. He's not the most memorable villain of all time, but he's good for what he's doing. And he's a fun little character that, is menacing and does things, and he's involved with the Donnie Yen character. It's just, you get what you get out of Bill Skarsgård, and it has a good payoff at the end. And like I said, when it comes to the ideas of what Ian McShane and Lance Redick are doing in this movie, how their character arcs portray, how Hiroyuki Sanada, we get to see another Continental in this movie, which is really cool, and we get to see kind of his history. I like the fact that we're getting a little bit more of who John Wick is. Shamier Anderson comes in this movie, is not the most, what I would call, well-written role. I don't really understand where his character ends up going near the end of the movie, but he has fun moments in it. It has a dog and stuff like that, which I love what this movie does, or this franchise does with animals and dogs. It's so fun to watch, just take down down people in such glorious fashion. It's really fun, and the action sequences are top notch. They're some of the best that you can find in film in general. They're just great. A lot of them are like a little too silly in their own right. Would never happen. It's like there's points where you're going, where are the police at? It's just one of those things. It seems like they're reaching, but you kind of have to go with it. You kind of have to drop your logic and thinking to enjoy what it's doing. But I think in the end, I really enjoyed this film. I'm not trying to spoil too much in it because, like I said, it's the fourth film in a franchise, so I don't really want to, there's not really much to spoil. I mean, if you know what you're going to get into, there are stuff that, you could talk about in a spoiler review, but I don't think I'm going to go there. But I think in the end, I really enjoyed this film. I still think either the second or third film is the better in the franchise, but I still think it's a worthy successor. I still think it has fun action set pieces. It has some of the best in the franchise, and overall it's just a fun, entertaining movie for what it's worth. I think Keanu Reeves he struck gold between this and The Matrix and Bill and Ted and stuff like that. I think this is one of his better franchises, and I think it just shows the heart and passion that Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves and the rest of the cast and crew, like including Donnie Yen and Lawrence Fishburne and stuff like that, have for what they're doing. Like, on top of that, Clancy Brown's in this movie too, so there you go. That is John Wick Chapter 4, film that is going to assault your senses in every form or fashion. So there you go. Anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Comments below, what is your favorite film in the franchise? What is your favorite moment in the franchise so far? If you've seen Chapter 4, don't spoil some of the spoiler stuff. But anyways, with that said, thank you so much. If you like what you see on the channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like the video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.